Good morning, Year 3. Okay, so today we are on chapter 18 of Gangsta Granny, and the chapter title is called Visiting Hours. You can't stay with Granny tonight, said Dad. It was 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon, and Ben had just got home from school. It was strange that Dad was home so early. He usually didn't finish his shift at the supermarket until 8. Why not? Asked Ben, noticing his dad's face was dark with worry. I'm afraid I've got some bad news, son. What? Demanded Ben, his face darkening with worry too. Granny's in hospital. A little while later, once they'd finally found a parking space, Ben and his parents went through the automatic doors of the hospital. Ben wondered if Mum and Dad were ever going to find Granny in here. The hospital was impossibly tall and wide, a great monument to illness. There were lifts that took you to other lifts, mile-long corridors, signs everywhere that Ben couldn't comprehend. Coronary care unit, radiology, obstetrics, clinical decision unit, MRI scanning room. Confused-looking patients on trolleys or in wheelchairs were being wheeled up and down by porters as doctors and nurses who looked like they hadn't been to bed for days hurried past them. When they finally found the wing Granny was in, right up on the 19th floor, Ben didn't recognize her at first. Her hair was flat on her head. She didn't have her glasses on or her teeth in, and she was wearing not her own clothes, but a standard issue NHS nightgown. It was as if all of the things that made her Granny had been taken from her, and she was now just a shell. Ben felt so sad to see her like this, but tried to hide it. He didn't want to upset her. Hello, dears, she said. Her voice was croaky and her speech a little slurred. Ben had to take a deep breath to stop from bursting into tears. How are you feeling, Mum? Asked Ben's dad. Not too clever, she replied. I had a fall. A fall? Said Ben. Yes, I don't remember much about it. One moment I was reaching in the larder for a tin of cabbage soup. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the lino staring at the ceiling. My cousin Edna called me a number of times from her nursing home. When she couldn't get an answer, she called an ambulance. When did you fall over, Granny? Asked Ben. Let me think. I was lying on the kitchen floor for 2 days, so it must have been Wednesday morning. I couldn't get up to reach the telephone. I am so sorry, Mum, said Dad quietly. Ben had never seen his father look so upset. It's funny because I meant to call you on Wednesday, just for a chat, to see how you are, said Mum, lying. She had never called the old lady in her life, and Granny ever called the house. And if Granny ever called the house, Mum couldn't get off the phone quick enough. You weren't to know, my dear, said Granny. They did all kinds of tests this morning to see what's wrong with me, X-rays and scans and the like. I'll get the results tomorrow. Hopefully I won't be in here too long. I hope so too, said Ben. There was an uncomfortable silence. No one quite knew what to do or say. Mum hesitantly nudged Dad and mimed looking at her watch. Ben knew hospitals made her feel uncomfortable. When he'd had his appendix out 2 years before, she had only visited him a couple of times, and even then it had made her sweat and fidget. Well, we'd better be off, said Dad. Yes, yes, you go, said Granny, with lightness in her voice, but sadness in her eyes. Don't you worry about me. I'll be fine. Can't we stay a bit longer? Piped up Ben. Mum shot him an anguished look, which Dad clocked. No, come along, Ben. Your granny will need to go to sleep in a few hours, said Dad as he stood up and readied himself to leave. I'm quite busy, Mum, but I'll try and pop in over the weekend. He patted his mother on the head like one might a dog. It was an awkward gesture. Dad wasn't a hugger. He turned to go. Mum smiled weakly and then pulled a reluctant Ben across the ward by his wrist. Up in his bedroom later that evening, Ben determinedly sorted all the information he gathered from school that week. We'll show them, Granny, he thought fiercely. I'm going to do it for you. Now Granny was ill, he was more determined to do it than ever. He had until tea time to plan the greatest jewel theft in history. Okay then, so Granny is in hospital. So today you are going to be writing a diary entry as if you are Ben, okay? So you need to plan the greatest jewel theft in history, so your steps to success will go through them a little bit more. Okay, so another diary entry today. So your diary entries are really coming on brilliantly. So you've already done a diary entry from Granny and a diary entry from Mr. Parker. So today you're going to do one as if you are Ben. Okay, so you have just come back home from visiting your granny in the hospital. You didn't spend enough time with her because your mum and dad wanted to go as soon as they got there. You need to talk about your thoughts and feelings about seeing Granny in hospital, but also about how your mum and dad have made you feel. Oh, and don't forget, you also need to plan the greatest jewel theft in history. Okay, so our steps to success you can see are there. So I can include an exclamation sentence, I can include a question sentence, I can describe my thoughts and feelings, I can write in first person using personal pronouns, and I can use fronted adverbials correctly. Okay then, so let's get started with our diary entry. So I'm going to start off, and again, you can use this to help you get started, or you can create your own using the ideas that I have shown you in this video. Okay, so obviously we are writing a diary entry, so we need to make sure that we start with Dear Diary. Okay then, so underneath then, I'm going to start off with my exclamation sentence so we can get that in straight away. Remembering that exclamation sentences start with what or how. So what an unexpected day today has been. Okay, what an unexpected day today has been. As soon as my dad told me that Granny was in hospital, my heart skipped a beat. So remember, this needs to be quite personal. Okay, this needs to show your thoughts and feelings. Okay then. My heart skipped a beat. I honestly thought she had hurt herself during a robbery and therefore being caught out about her thieving activity. Okay, so basically saying, I honestly thought she had hurt herself during a robbery and therefore been caught out about her thieving activity. So if she'd hurt herself during a robbery, and obviously the police and ambulance would have to come, and then she would have been caught out about being a thief. However, fortunately, this was not the case, and my wonderful granny is still the most wanted jewel thief in the world. Excellent. Okay then, let's carry on. By the time, just going to move this up here a little bit. By the time we had found our way around the enormous, confusing hospital, we didn't have long to spend with Granny. Okay, I'm just going to make this a bit smaller because I still haven't finished. I want you to see what we have come up with so far. Okay. By the time we had found our way around the enormous, confusing hospital, we didn't have long to spend with Granny. Full stop. Okay. My mum and dad couldn't wait to get away from her. I couldn't believe it. Okay then, so this is just the introduction. Okay, so just a short couple of sentences that even though that looks like quite a lot there, there's not actually that much there. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've done on our steps to success then. So, what an unexpected day today has been! Exclamation sentence, tick, completed. Okay. I can include a question sentence. I haven't done that, but maybe that could be your end sentence. Perhaps a rhetorical question that you could use in the end of your diary. I can describe my thoughts and feelings. So what have we got so far then? So I honestly thought my heart skipped a beat. By the time we found out, we didn't have long to wait. My mum and dad, I couldn't believe it. Okay, so you've started using some of that. You haven't completed all of your diary entries, so we're just going to highlight that orange. First person then, so you've got lots of personal pronouns. Me, my, I. Yep, my again. By the time we could use, I suppose. I couldn't believe it. Okay, so you've got some of those, not all of them, because you haven't finished. Okay, and fronted adverbials correctly. You've got one there. Fortunately, as soon as my dad told me that Granny was in hospital, comma, my heart skipped a beat. By the time we had found our way around the enormous, confusing hospital, so remembering after a fronted adverbial goes a comma. Okay, right then, so we've done some of that as well. So really, we're doing a really good start just by writing a couple of sentences. Okay, so you can continue with your diary entry today. Remember, you are writing as if you are Ben. You didn't spend long with your granny, so you may need to want to talk about how your mum and dad have made you feel while they've just been like, right, okay, hello, granny, now it's time to go. See you, granny. Okay, they don't really have much time for granny, do they? Only Ben, really, and that's only very recently until he's found out that she is a thief. Okay, and then don't forget, you also need to plan your greatest jewel theft in history. So in your diary entry, you might want to talk about saying, anyway, back to the greatest jewel theft in history. I have got a plan that me and Granny will follow, and that will make us find the dazzling crown jewels, for example. Okay? Right then, so I hope you have a fabulous day. Really looking forward to reading your diary entries because, as I say, your other previous diary entries that you have written have been wonderful. So a huge well done to all of you for that. Have a super day. Please remember to email myself or Mr. Grocott if you need any help or support, and we will try our best to always help you. Okay, talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.